Links, John Channel here over at Subscribe so I got a mailbox. Mail me some comics, but none of these soy comics. So the comic book industry is collapsing as they're learning that diversity and girl power and this kind of stuff, gross, doesn't sell. So to sum it up, it's really, you could just, if your people were more honest about it, you go, yeah, the gay diverse comics don't sell at all, period. All that Frankfurt School babble about representation, it doesn't mean anything because it doesn't result in sales. That's all. I mean, it's like all these commie kids, they focus on theory and then you point out like how things actually work in the real world and they go, well, it just have to like double down. We'll make it up. And no, it doesn't. You're not going to, no, none of the things you're doing are working because objectively the stores are closing. So the comics are basically all left toxic fantasies about how in their world all the bad guys are blue and green-eyed and intolerant and just istophobic. It's like they have to straw man every single Reddit, Tumblr type of fantasy. And it oddly enough, it's not connecting with an audience. Shocking, I know. So the author of this article is from a comic store in Florida, and he's careful in his explanation. He explains that the current state of woke comics and why it's being destroyed. And I'm going to read in between the lines. Hopefully I'm not putting words into his mouth. He says that the industry is chasing short-term goals, which is resulting in retailers going out of business. Actually, he says a lot of things, but the most critical things he kind of buries in the middle and he lightly touches on them. But he names them, but it just kind of moves on from them because he knows that those are I'm assuming he knows that those are the critical issues, but he also doesn't want to get destroyed on Twitter. It's like, it doesn't matter. The industry, you might as well be honest, like a epitaph, eulogy for the industry. Just be honest. It's over anyway. So he says the industry is chasing these short-term goals, which is seeing stores close. But the objective reality is that stores are closing. Soy boys and cat ladies make excuses for it, and they'll blame anything but the woke comics because they have an agenda to defend. It's like BLM comes to a city, and then you notice over the next few years, the stores start magically closing. Go, but they have insurance, and it's other factors. Go, yeah, I mean, you all right? Tell yourself that's fine, but the stores are objectively closing. In Oregon, Washington, and California, as soon as BLM kind of goes through a city, and the far left wing policies of soft on crime, it's like, what happens? Well, okay, 2 years later, the stores are closing, but it could be anything. It's not the mass looting that happens every day. It's like, well, the stores do have to turn a profit. Anyway, so the comic infrastructure is being destroyed, and as I look at the mainstream, it's dead. They're just too woke to turn it around. And the thing is, comics don't happen in a vacuum. And maybe the people who are writing and editing these things seem to think they have this idealized world of blonde man bad and POC good. It's like there's too many outside factors going on where your former customer base is seeing the totality of the circumstances. So they're not going to turn this around at all. It's that forget that. If you enjoy the format of the graphic novel, check out Comicsgate. You can check out independent comics, but the mainstream, the ship has sailed. You can't have comic shops if the product is this woke. It's this LGBT race swap blonde man bad. The product has to be in demand, and it's not because it sucks for the reasons I've constantly given over the past 2 years. The comics are all non-whites and BLTs, and they don't sell. So the stores close, and the next generation doesn't buy comics, so you've just destroyed your industry right then and there. And while this article is informative, you're not going to turn the mainstream industry around because the woke commies in comics think that they're these 50-year-old 400-pound people writing comics. They think they're edgy, stunning, and brave, and speaking truth to power and fighting the power by making every POC a Mary Sue purse puppy and every antagonist is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Christian. Oh yeah, but that's in every single comics. Now here's what's going on. The people who make comics absolutely don't read comics. And I say this, and I know this because if they did, they would know why the comics are failing. They think they're cutting edge, but if they read comics, they could see it's all the same. You could draw a correlation chart of dark skin and eyes are are good and light eyes, skin, hair are bad. It sounds so simple, and I've grind the axe, I know, but it really is that tightly correlated. You could get a long chart and simply do it like with eye color and protagonists and antagonists and present it to the comic book industry, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't, like, nothing you can say to them matters. It's their industry. They own it, or the people who have the rights to it own it. They're going to do with it as they wish. That's why I say you're not going to turn it around. But you absolutely don't have to support it. Hey, comics, can you make the blonde people good and the dark people bad? They can't even contemplate such a scenario that doesn't involve blue-eyed, green-eyed people as the antagonists. So he mentions a few things in the comics that don't sell or hurt the industry. Too many covers, reboots, race swapping, sex swapping, gay characters. That's the stuff he very lightly goes over. And I'm going to add in there, I am interpreting his stuff. I'm going to add in there, you're going to need bigger boobs just for women, sexier women across the board. Really kind of want to dial that sex appeal up with the boob window sort of thing. So your comic buying audience is straight, male, and majority is going to be of European origin. So they're going to identify with the blonde-haired, green and blue-eyed, hazel-eyed type of people, if you know what I'm saying. Why would we want to see ourselves as the bad guys in comics? We know we're not the bad guys. That's, can I say it's the inverse reality? We're awesome. We know that we're not the problem in any situation. So you see these comics like, oh my God, a blue-eyed man robbing a liquor store and deleting 3 people. Al Ewing, Immortal Hulk #1. Oh no, and then he goes back to his green-eyed motorcycle gang. And then the Hulk has to give a lecture on the Second Amendment. Wow, stunning and brave. And then issue 11, it's weird I remember these things. Issue 11, the Hulk goes to hell, I guess, or some dimension of hell. And this POC woman has to give Bruce Banner a lecture on how European men are running around destroying cities. Like, damn, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Are you insane? Oh, and then there's another issue. I don't know. It was in issue 40s or something, where there's a T of the BLT characters, who's some kind of research scientist giving a lecture on how difficult it is to be a T. What the fuck is that doing in a comic book? I don't care about that. Let me say, I actively do not want to see that. I don't want a lecture by a POC about how much Al Ewing, I don't know, is simping for POCs and hates himself or his tribe. And the BLT community, I got no problem with them whatsoever. But it's you're going to have to stick with Mags and who's the Joe Glass type of comics. Those are comics for a very limited audience. Oh, Istaphobe says what? You must secretly be it's weird how they use gay as a pejorative. It's freaking bizarre. It's like, I point that out to them on Twitter. I go, you're using that as an insult, right? Oh, because that's how you'd feel. I've just said I have no problem with you selling gay comics or gay people in general. Sell them all you want, but it's like, that's a specific audience that you're going to sell to. And if you put it in the mainstream comics, here's the thing. BLT people will buy straight comics. But the inverse is not true. I don't make the rules. That's just how the world works. That's like, you say objective reality. Hey, these POC comics don't sell. And it's like everyone in the room would turn around and look at you and just instant ad hominem attack. And you go, what I just said is objectively true. I didn't say I'm involved in the statement at all. I'm just repeating what is true. And they lose their friggin' minds. You go, but you're destroying the industry because what is the saying? You can avoid reality, but you can't avoid the consequences of avoiding reality. And that's kind of where we are with this stuff. We need more Chuck Dixon. I need you people to send me Chuck Dixon comics. That guy is, whenever I need a little bit of refreshment, it's, you got to go back and read, and you know who's another good writer is, what's that guy's name? Vox Day? I don't know his real name. Theodore something. He's actually a shockingly good writer, which is weird because I listened to a few of his live streams, and like, his delivery just wasn't for me. It's really slow and real detailed, just a slow delivery. And then you read his comics, like, this is where you shine. It's weird. He taps into something when he writes. Really solid writer. Anyway. So your comic buying audience is straight. Oh, he's so far right. And you listen to what he's saying. You're like, I'm not hearing him. Oh, that's just because you're far. No, I'm not hearing him say anything. What he's saying is just objective reality, and people seem to be so triggered by that. It's like, what happens when a society ignores objective reality? Well, bridges eventually start collapsing. So here's the thing: your comic buying audience, or the former comic buying audience, was straight, male, and of European origin. They just are not into gay characters. It's not hate, it's not love, it's just no interest. Most of us cannot identify with Cena Grace. Even those of us who have BLT friends in the real world, it's like, yes, we can be friends with these people, but like their relationships are just too alien to see. And it's like I could write POC characters or gay characters better than a Cena Grace character or a Ta-Nehisi Coates character, because they're so over the top, grinding an axe about it, where I could make them just very a light touch. And you go, well, we want a virtue signal. I go, no. If you want to have BLT characters or gay characters, it has to be the lightest of light touches. And that's all you can have in comics and still expect to get sales. Oh, well, we don't care about sales. Well, see, I'm looking at it from just a business perspective, with like trying to leave all the emotion out of it and go like, do you want to sell your product? That's all it is it's just a product, and it's not to them. It's a vector to push Bolshevik propaganda. Anyway, so most of the audience doesn't want to see anti-white, misandrist, or anti-Christian stories written by obese soy boys and cat ladies who currently work in comics. The Mark Wades and the Gail Simones of the world, yeah, good luck with that. How well did what was Ignited by Mark Wade with Kwanzaa or Sajefa or something? Then he had to fire Kwanzaa because he was just too bad of a writer. Gee, a Second Amendment lecture set in Arizona where everyone is blonde-haired or red-haired in Arizona. You know, Arizona is like majority a Mexican state, right? Mark Wade, you know that? I know you live in Santa Monica or something. Lives in his $4 million house in Santa Monica, and during the course of the Wu flu, he didn't leave his house because he was terrified. And I heard that, I'm like, are you kidding, dude? What the fuck are you talking about? I was out every day walking the dog, and it's weird. You see some people were wearing those panties in front of their face. Like there's couples who would like bicycle down the street and they're wearing those panties in front of their face. And the weird thing was, I'm walking the dog all the time during that 3-year period. And some people would, like younger people, kids would cross the street or across the alleyway to avoid me. That wasn't because of the Wu flu. Yeah, it was. People love me. But women walking their dogs would come right up to me and talk to me like crazy during that 3-year period. It was really weird. I don't know why they did that. It's something, maybe they wanted to make human connections, and they knew like, you can look at me and you just kind of know I'm not on the left. I've never worn those panties in front of my face, and pure blood. In fact, I always carried that thing around in my pocket. I think I've got a 3-year-old mask sitting in at the bottom of my shorts, but I never actually had to wear it. Anyway, so this isn't going to change. There's why I say you can give up on comics. Change your store over to board games or manga. You're not going to be able to fix this, because this is a religion to people in comics. It's a religion to people in Hollywood. It's all the same. It's, that Frankfurt School Bolshevik type of stuff. And then he goes through a couple of points of comics. He mentions the price point of comics, but that's not the critical, it's not the gateway issue. That's not, what do you call that? That's not the limiting reagent in chemistry. Because the content is key, and they won't change that. You can sell these woke comics for $1.99. It wouldn't make a difference because it's not worth it at any price. Somebody I used to work for, this old guy, was talking about restaurants and price points at restaurants, and he had a big retail shop, and he goes, it said essentially that it's like you don't mind paying a lot for a meal if the meal is excellent, but a fast food meal, it's like most people don't want fast food at any price. It's just the absolute last necessity type of thing. And it'd be the same way with comics. Anyway, look at manga, learn from them. They don't need diversity to sell comics. And this is the key issue. And he covered it just very lightly, because he knows what will happen if he wants to keep a store. They'd probably just burn down a store if he got too deep into this. Because people hate diversity. They want good-looking characters who all look like they belong together. And if you look at manga, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to say on YouTube because it involves a lot of hot words, But you know what I'm talking about. This is an audience who's familiar with comics and manga, and you just compare the two, and you're like, oh, hey, it's all this like American comics, which is really Bolshevik comics. I see a lot of diversity, and the fair-skinned people are always the bad ones. And I look at manga, and it's all fair people, and so they're good and bad, but it's not, you're not singling out one tribe. Can we get that? And they look at you like, no diversity. Yeah, I hate diversity. It's just, cringe, sucks, sweaty donkey balls. Again, they look at you like they probably physically attack me if they could. And the thing is, people are not interested in girl power at all. Maybe it's, not PC to say all this kind of stuff, but it's true. POC, BLTs, the feminists, they don't actually buy comics. The college lesbian and the Birkenstocks. I say this as someone who's got a pair of Birkenstocks. I'm going to need you guys to send me another because I have them super glued together. And the problem is that POCs and feminists are the ones writing and editing comics for an audience that doesn't actually pay for comics. They go on readcomicsonline.to. I only know this because I'm in there in the comics, the comment section, reading their comments and seeing how they're going back and forth about it. And the kids are really, and they kind of mostly feel like kids. They're really invested in comics where they can read them for free online. So you actually need to sell product to make money. I know how easy it is to give away content. I also know what it takes to get people to pay for content because, like the donations that come in, when you get donations, and I'm not shilling, you're shilling, it means something mattered, something connected with people, where giving away free content, advertiser supported content doesn't mean anything. Like people will read stuff online for free. But you look at these kids and go, hey, you're going to go to the retailer and go pay the $4 for it? Like, no, it's not quite that good. Yeah, that's what happens. Anyway, so people are not into all this kind of feminist girl power type of stuff. And the comics don't sell and the stores close. And you know what? I think they yeeted their comment section. That friggin' sucks. They Bounding got a new format, and it's... I hope they bring back the comment section. The thing is, it's just not selling. And his other point is to tell stories without proselytizing. I didn't know if I was going to pronounce that correctly, and it looks like I did. And he doesn't go into detail and say what I'm saying. I assume he doesn't want to get canceled. But again, I mean, like all this kind of stuff it's just impossible to talk about honestly without having them having an emotional response because, you're dealing with the Mark Wades of the world who are 50-year-old adults. They look like, adult bodies, but they just have this kind of childlike emotional response where they're the participation trophy generation, the work on the kid's self-esteem. If he was on the West Coast, he's kind of in that age range of you who's kind of getting caught up in all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so the people in he's such a freaking weirdo. I feel bad for him though. He was doing an interview with the Word Balloon channel, and that's so funny. The Word Balloon is this channel. It's got like not many. It's got like less than 5,000 followers. And you look at it and you're like, this is bizarre. This guy who does these interviews, he knows what he's talking about. He's passionate and he gets access to everyone in the industry. And you're like, wait, how do you have 5,000 subs and less? And like, who are you to talk? Yeah, but I'm not doing it. I am getting a computer. I'm going to be doing some live streams, but I'm not going to be having access to anyone, anyone in the industry. This guy, this Word Balloon guy he interviews everybody, and the channel is this tiny little channel, and he's doing these live streams and nobody watches the live streams. Why? Because everyone has to say they approve stuff. They can't ever say anything outside. You're like, why did Comicsgate just absolutely blow up and bring such excitement to an industry? Because they had more freedom to crap on things and joke around about things without being canceled. It's an entirely different you can be on Comicsgate and say something is, it's just too gay for the audience. And if you're on these, left-wing channels, like, who's that? Was it a Drink and Draw or something? And somebody said that, it would be like the needle on the record, because everyone would know, like, oh, you're canceled. You're going to be canceled for that. Unless you're cancel-proof, which is kind of a lot of fun being on the right. So the people in Marvel and DC are just too far left, and they fire anyone who's pro-Christian, white, or a male, or pro-America or whatever. There's no diversity of thought allowed in mainstream comics. I mean, they will chase people out of the industry. I mean, you look at some of the pros in Comicsgate and you go like, yeah, these guys should be in mainstream industry. It's like, oh no, they were chased out of the industry. They're just not the the tolerance doesn't extend to people to the right of Stalin and Mao. So you got to have diversity of thought if you want to have a back and forth and excitement in comics, and you're just not seeing that. You're seeing that in Comicsgate, but you don't see that in the mainstream industry. And the comics suck. It's all just this toxic left-wing echo chamber that is not selling with people. So none of these technical details about advice for the industry actually matters until you fix the core of the woke anti-white stories. Comics are so far left now, it's beyond saving. You need to fire almost everybody and replace them with right-wing writers and editors, and that's just not going to happen. So for the comic retailers, it's better to focus on a transition into manga and board games, or you can probably buy some Comicsgate retail packages and sell those, and which would be a better price point anyway, because you're going to sell the comics for like $20 to $25 for a graphic novel. It's like on terms of shelf space, it makes more sense to sell something for $25 than for $5, I think. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check me out over on the subscribe star. Got a mailbox, mail me some comics. Probably not the woke comics. Nobody's ever sent any woke comics. I get a lot of Comicsgate stuff. Send me Chuck Dixon comics. That guy is absolutely the best. I'm going to do a video on that Alphaverse, Alpha Core comic coming up next. The thing is hit like $600,000 in its first day. Just amazing. Anyway, I'll see you guys all next episode.